Good morning, sunshine. How are you today, son? You good? Good. I'm good too. Thanks for asking. My fellow Gallivantors, here is what I propose to you today. Me and you will go for a wander through these untroubled and tranquil hinterlands, in search of all that is wild and wonderful, in search of the many fine and fanciful things that the natural world has to offer. The trees, the plants, the flowers, the fungi, and the wildlife. Nothing will escape documentation today, because we National Geographic out here. And upon discovery of an interesting organism, we will use the wonders of botanical science to extract and discover the secrets of what these organisms have to offer. We will discover that which is edible, and that which is medicinal, that which is hallucinogenic, and everything else in between. So, where shall we begin? We shall begin here with moon daisies, Leucanthemum vulgare. Interesting. What is there to be learned here? What are the secrets? Well, I will tell you the secrets. Moon daisies are edible in their entirety, and not only edible, but incredibly high in vitamin C and provitamin A in the form of beta-carotene, which is useful in the maintenance of immune system function, particularly pertaining to the protective barriers of the skin and the production of lymphocytes, otherwise known as white blood cells. In so, the consumption of moon daisies will serve to fight infection from within, by boosting immune system function. Not only that, but moon daisies boast an antispasmodic property. What does that mean? Well, it just means it will relieve muscular spasms and muscular cramps. Why would you need an antispasmodic? Well, if you're an otherwise healthy individual male, then you would not typically need one, but the females, during their menses, during their monthly discharge of blood and cellular debris from the uterus, are probably all too familiar with the agonizing stomach cramps that are associated with that. But moon daisies will work to relieve your menstrual aches and pains, leaving you free to take on the day and resume shopping and buying shoes, or whatever the fuck it is that girls do, I don't know. Oi, 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 what's all this then? Most elegant, most alluring, most graceful, consider me enamoured. Allow me to introduce you to this flower, whose common name is Speedwell. And now that you're formally acquainted, take a moment to observe the shape and arrangement of its petals. One could say that it possesses quite an angelic aesthetic. A long gown, delicate wings, arms outstretched and welcomely open with a bulbous hooded shroud. This is most glorious, most valiant, most divine, most delightful. But can you eat it? Yes, you can. Speedwells are edible and would make a fine addition to any bowl of slop that you cook up around a campfire. And speedwells are alleged to possess a taste similar to that of watercress. But I am not personally familiar with the taste of watercress, so I can neither confirm nor deny these allegations. Now then, let's just take a moment to bask in the soft, amniotic tranquility of a sun positioned between 0 and 12 degrees in elevation, a temperature a mild 12 degrees Celsius, wind speeds of 7 miles per hour, humidity 67%. These are the makings of a rather pleasant environment. Excuse me, there was a wasp. What if I told you that these flowers can be used for hunting? Well, that gives you an incentive to listen to me talk about the lovely pretty flowers for 3.5 minutes. This flower is known as Lychis flos-cuculi, which sounds like the makings of a rather grievous bacterial infection, but its common name is ragged robin, an appropriate title for a flower of such dilapidated physical appearance, a special snowflake. And special they are indeed, for they possess a multitude of valuable and practical uses, pertaining to the collection of food and domestic cleaning. That's an interesting combination. Allow me to explain. Ragged robins are rich in chemicals known as saponins, and the biological purpose of these saponins within the plant is to deter insects and bacteria from feeding upon the live plant, as saponins, when consumed, are toxic to many creatures. But they are not only toxic to insects and bacteria, no, they are also toxic to fish. So if one were to hypothetically take a ragged robin plant crush it and then toss the pulverized plant matter into a body of water such as a pond or a lagoon, then the saponins will leach out of the plant, dissolve into the water, and poison all the fish, which will of course then die and float to the surface for easy collection. This is a practice known as poison fishing, and it is a tactic that has been widely used, both past and present, by indigenous tribal societies. It's the organic equivalent of dropping a live grenade into a pond. That's efficient fishing, those poor Pisces. Happy hunters though. But the tactical acquisition of aquatic food sources aside, saponin-rich plants are also used as a cleansing agent. For you see, saponins are renowned for producing a soap-like foam when they are shaken in aquatic environments. So if you were to swish and swirl pulverized ragged robins into a cup of water, then the saponins within the plant will begin to fizz, froth, foam and bubble, leaving behind suds. Foamy, frothy soap suds. And these are genuine soap bubbles, because in regards to their chemistry, they are detergents. So if you were to apply the ragged robin saponin soap suds to your filthy, dirty skin, then the suds will break down, bind to, and wash away all of your accumulated impurities. All of the otherwise insoluble substances such as the grease, the grime, the pestilence, the blood and the semen, and all of the various oils that are excreted from the body during long periods of physical exertion can be washed away quite effortlessly by lavering yourself up in those soapy saponin suds and then rinsing it all off with a dash of water. Easy peasy. And it's a very effective cleaner. And this is exactly how humble villagers used to clean themselves back in the day. Saponin suds were used as body wash, shampoo, and laundry soap. So lather yourself up in those soapy saponin suds, and then throw yourself in the pond. Go for a fun little skinny dip. Cleanse yourself of your impurities and kill all the fish while you're at it. That's 2 birds, 1 stone right there. That's very efficient. Well hey, saponins are no rarity. Saponins can also be found in amongst the ubiquitous horse chestnut conker tree, a tree well known for its saponin content. So gather the leaves, crush, soak, shake and apply for a foamy soap, shampoo and washing detergent. Bada bing, bada boom, a humble mixture of chemistry and craft makes for an easy life. Now here's a real interesting one for you. Introducing the Morning Glory, Ipomoea purpurea. That's a badass name. But Morning Glory, you say? Does it have anything to do with morning erections? No. That would be most indecent, but they are renowned for something as equally as exciting. So, what's the story? Flowers belonging to the genus of Ipomoea possess a psychoactive and mildly hallucinogenic substance. How so? Well, intrinsic to the seeds of the morning glory flower is a chemical known as D-lysergic acidamide, otherwise known as LSA. And LSA is a psychedelic substance. Not a particularly potent one, but a psychedelic nonetheless. Even so, fun fact, LSA is the precursor chemical used in the production of LSD, lysergic acid diethylamide. You may be familiar. LSD and LSA are chemical brothers. In essence, LSD is just refined LSA. And this is no secret, as the seeds of the morning glory were consumed by the goddamn Mayans and Aztecs many moons ago, used ritually to induce a euphoric dreamlike state, which back then of course was associated with shamanism and divination. Getting absolutely monged off their ramparts, mate. But could you too achieve a similar entheogenic experience? Indeed you could. But that would be most degenerate, and it's that kind of degeneracy that will put you straight into the FEMA camps. But alas, the quantities of LSA found within the seeds are minimal. They are trace amounts. You would have to consume upwards to 100 seeds to feel any significant hallucinogenic effect. So good luck with that, but should you nonetheless choose to do so, then you must be cautious. For you see, LSA, as a precursor to LSD, gives it a status of a Class A controlled substance. That would be a Schedule 3 substance for the American bros, so you must be cautious. You must be on the lookout for the SWAT team that will rappel down from the trees and kick your fucking head in, son. Are you picking fucking seeds out here, boy? That's a felony! Look at this motherfucker, look at it! Observe it! Absolutely disgusting, disgusting! What is this abomination of nature? Well, it is known as the wasp spider. Indeed, the wasp spider. Entomologists really don't mess around when it comes to naming things out here. They cut straight to the chase. But yo, if you hate wasps and you hate spiders, then well, you're certainly not going to be very fond of the wasp spider. But fear not, for they are harmless. Well, I mean, they have been known to bite humans, and they are venomous, but the bite and the venom are harmless. No worse than a bee sting. But my god, imagine if this motherfucker had wings. My god, fuck that. That would be awful. Ah, see? The world's not such a bad place, is it? It could be much worse. This wasp spider done got himself some din-dins. It's looking like a lean-cut grasshopper right there. This fills my heart with the greatest of sorrows, because I like grasshoppers. They are most interesting, most majestic.
It's naughty spider, naughty spider!
The frilly lilac pom-poms of the calcareous grasslands and meadows. Knautia arvensis, an elegant name. Common name, field Scabious. Not so elegant. And indeed, the etymology is not particularly pleasant either. For you see, the word Scabious is derived from scabies, the 7-year itch, the infamously undesirable infectious skin disease. You may be familiar, but hopefully not. Why is this plant named after scabies, you ask? Well, because historically, it helped to cure it. All the sores and skin blisters associated with that ailment. Field Scabious was used to treat the symptoms, and Field Scabious was also used to treat burns, blisters, and inflamed wounds. All manner of rashes and topical skin ailments. How? Well, quite simply with a poultice. The application of a crushed, damp Knautia arvensis flower head was used as a topical compress to the troubled areas of the skin. And how does it work, you ask? Well, it is an astringent. It will constrict and dehydrate the areas of skin which you apply it to. So wounds will not weep and blisters will not form if you nip them in the bud early enough with a poultice of Knautia arvensis. Easy, right? How marvellous. A medicinal flower, easily recognisable, one for the notebook. Well, fuck me. It's a field of rapeseed. Oh my god, you watch some rapeseed, you watch some indeed. A plant whose etymology is particularly perplexing. This sea of sulphur is a plant known as rapeseed, which is not the most inviting of names. That is fairly ominous indeed, but fear not. For the rape part is derived from the Latin rapum, which means turnip. As rapeseed inflorescence is so very similar to turnip inflorescence. Why? Because of reasons. You want to learn about turnips and mustard and rapeseed? Then go subscribe to Farming Aesthetics. That's a new channel coming soon. Not really, that's a lie. But one thing is for certain though. Proximity to rapeseed will absolutely rape your sinuses. Your olfactory system gets shot to shit out here by the noxiously suffocating miasmic clouds of pollen. This is where hay fever sufferers go to euthanize themselves. Is rapeseed edible? Well, that's up for debate. Wild rapeseed is high in a substance known as erucic acid, and this isn't a particularly desirable chemical to consume. Considered safe in low doses, but wild rapeseed is not a plant you'd want to engorge yourself upon. However, a small handful of the actual seeds found within the ovary of the plant will provide you with a healthy batch of omega-3, omega-6 and omega-9 fatty acids, which will serve you well. Good for the brain, those omegas. Prepare yourself, for I am about to present to you what I believe to be the most interesting plant that I've ever had the pleasure of presenting on an episode of CampAesthetics. A plant that proves useful, but not in regards to survivalism or camping, not in regards to your post-apocalyptic escapist fantasies or your post-FEMA camp nomadic lifestyle, no, but in regards to life itself. So, make yourself a cup of tea, because we're about to bust a little bit of science. This plant is known as Lesser Periwinkle. Its genus and species, Vinca minor, an evergreen plant, meaning that its glossy, leathery foliage will be present all year round, even through the most depraved and woeful of winters, in large colonial blankets, inhabiting the shady damp regions of the woodland. Are they edible? No. Vinca minor is host to a magnitude of alkaloids, and some of which are known to be toxic to humans. But nonetheless, this is quite the miracle flower, because it does so much work out here in regards to modern medicine. There's something for everyone in amongst that bunch of Vinca alkaloids, toxic or not. Notably, there is vincristine and vinblastine. These chemicals are used as anti-cancer drugs in chemotherapy, and these are the alkaloids that make Vinca minor consumption quite potently toxic. But of course that is the nature of chemotherapy, cytotoxicity, so it's a good set of toxins for certain individuals. And another alkaloid, vincamine, is used in the treatment of dementia, stroke and Alzheimer's disease. It's used to prevent, combat and reverse the degenerative neurological effects and cognitive decline associated with those ailments. Vincamine does wonders for the brain, particularly damaged brains. But another Vinca alkaloid, vinpocetine, is a non-toxic Vinca alkaloid. And this is one that we, as healthy individuals, could utilize, because vinpocetine is a commercially sold nootropic substance. Well then, what does that mean? Well, nootropics are chemicals that enhance cognitive function. They're marketed under labels such as brain steroids, smart drugs, Viagra for the brain, neuroenhancers, memory enhancers. They are the closest thing we have to NZT40 in this plane of existence. Vinpocetine is a smart drug, and it works by relaxing and dilating the blood vessels leading to and around the brain, which therefore increases the amount of blood, oxygen and glucose that can enter your brain, flooding your brain with an abundance of resources which your brain will work overtime to utilize. And by doing so, one could expect to experience an improved ability to retain and recall information, a heightened sense of alertness, an enhanced ability to process and analyze information, faster reaction times, clarity of thought, and improved focus and concentration. All of the necessary prerequisites required to stay focused, stay motivated, and get shit done. And this is why vinpocetine, as an extract from the lesser periwinkle plant, as a readily available commercially sold dietary supplement, has earned its honourable place amongst the bedside tables of quite a few university students. Interesting plant, right? Hey man, hey man, come closer I say. Hey, you wanna know a fun fact? Butterflies smell with their feet. That's a fun fact. Let me tell you another one. Did you know that a group of butterflies is called a flutter? Like a school of fish, a flutter of butterflies. Watch as the flutter of butterflies flutters by. That's a real fun fact. Rightio, let's take a little bit of a break from botany. Let's mix it up. Let's get crafty. See that weeping willow tree right there? We're going to take a branch of that weeping willow tree and we're going to miraculously fashion it into a signal whistle. You what, son? Indeed, a search and rescue whistle. And we're not talking about a tenuous little whistle whose siren is that of a teapot boiling over. No. We're talking about a signal whistle that can achieve sound levels of upwards to 100 decibels, which is just as loud as commercially sold search and rescue whistles. Just imagine cross-woodland communication with your brethren, cat calling your girlfriend, impressing your girlfriend with your handy woodcrafts, signalling for rescue, deafening your friends by blowing it right in their ear. The possibilities are endless, and all you need is a stick of willow and a knife. So let's proceed. To begin, I will annotate the areas of interest. The far end of this stick, nothing goes on here. Everything occurs up this end. This is the working end and this is the cut-off point. This is what will eventually become the mouthpiece of the whistle once all is said and done. So, the first order of business is to create the blowhole of the whistle in the form of a small V-shaped notch about an inch or so below the cut-off point. So let's do that. Now that's done, we just need to pull off the bark. So we'll need to separate the whistle's bark from the rest of the stick. So, we're going to cut into the bark all the way around the mouthpiece end. Voila! Now that the bark is separated and independent, we just need to pull it off. Easier said than done, however. This is the tricky part, because the outer bark is bound to the wood. The bond is not particularly strong, but it's strong enough to make pulling it off quite difficult. But there is an easy way to dislodge the bark and loosen those bonds. And that way is by blunt force trauma. Makes me erect. So, just give it a cheeky bash with the handle of your knife, or a similar heavy blunt object. In before penis jokes, and after giving it a good old bash, you should start to see the outer bark come away from the wood. And with any luck, with a twist and a pull, the bark should slide right off. Easy life. And now it's time to create the sound chamber. The sound chamber is just a lengthy extension of this initial notch. And as a general rule of thumb, the larger the chamber, the lower the pitch of the whistle. The smaller the chamber, the higher the pitch. It's a game of pressure. And we are nearly done. But before we slide the bark back on, there's one more order of business we must attend to. We need to create the mouthpiece. So, chop off all the excess branch, and then carve a flat plane into the mouthpiece. No more than a couple millimeters is required. So, we're gonna go ahead and do that. And we are done. Once the bark has been slid back on, we have a completed willow whistle. And as a final touch, I've cut a small curve into the mouthpiece, just so it accommodates my mouth a bit more, because we value them ergonomics out here. But perhaps to gain a more thorough understanding of exactly why we've done what we've done here, is to explain how whistles like this work. The whistling sound is caused by conflicting air currents. As you blow on the whistle, your breath travels down the small channel in the mouthpiece. A small portion of your breath shoots straight out of the blowhole, but a larger portion of your breath travels down into the sound chamber. And when your breath reaches the end of the chamber, it bounces and curves around and starts travelling backwards as a means of escape, eventually colliding with the now opposing air current that originates from your breath. And in these moments of conflicting airflows, a whistling sound is created. Why? Because of reasons. And we are done. Would you like to hear a sample? Of course you would. But I imagine it's going to be pretty loud, so you may want to lower your volume a tad. Allow me to play you the song of my people. But up close and personal isn't really a good indication of just how loud it can be. Let's get some distance between us. Not bad for a stick. And that concludes the making of a willow whistle. Pretty nifty, right? Allow me to play you yet another song of my people. Observe this rock. Look at it, and look at what it resembles. It resembles a satellite image of the surface of Mars, a Martian terrain of barren landscapes, craterous pits and cavernous fissures. Right? Just got a fresh batch of fun facts from the dealer. You want a sample? I'll give you a sample. Grasshoppers are not violent creatures. Under threat, they will instinctively hop or fly away. But under certain circumstances where grasshoppers are incapable of escape and facing certain death at the hands of a predator, then they will employ their last resort defensive mechanism. They will spit in your face. That's right. Grasshoppers will bring up digestive fluids from their stomach into their mouth and then forcefully expulse it into your face. They will spit a foul, dark brown fluid at you, a fluid that looks a lot like tobacco juice. Oh, that's pretty badass, son. That's how they throw down. During their valiant last stands, they will shame you by spitting in your face. The ultimate dishonor, a shame that drives many to commit Sudoku. Here's an interesting one. A plant known as Campion. Look at it. Its anatomy is rather strange. Its ovary, its seed-bearing pod, it's gigantic! A bulbous swollen ovary full of eggs. And so far behind the petals, flowers typically have their ovary amongst the petals, but Campion, no. They are special snowflakes, and interestingly enough, this flower is related to ragged robins. They are distant cousins. They reside in amongst the same botanical family, the Caryophyllaceae, but Campion also shares a similar chemistry with their relative ragged robins, Saponins. Another source of cleaning products. There's no excuse for not smelling absolutely fabulous out here. Saponins are everywhere. The abundancy is disgusting, but convenient. Well, what do we have here then? Is it a fly? Is it a bee? No, it's the bee fly. Indeed. Remember, entomologists really don't screw around out here. It has the fat, furry body of a bee, but the long, dangly legs of a fly. That's some inbred right there. This is an American insect, the curl bro of entomology. This is what happens when you skip leg day. Put chicken legs out here. Observe as it pollinates, fertilizes the eggs of flower ovum. That's most useful, most productive. Oh my God. We stumbled upon the remnants of a campfire. How interesting. And the owners of such even went through all the trouble of placing rocks around the periphery for a nice little neat fireplace. That's style points right there. I applaud this. But hold the phone, Jeff! These rocks, they have fractured quite severely. This arouses much concern because it would seem as if these rocks have exploded in the fire. Oh dear. And I speculate that these rocks were obtained from the stream that is no more than 10 feet away from here. Wet rocks, boy. That's a schoolboy error. Not criticising, no, just generally quite concerned. Two options. Option 1. That these rocks exploded gloriously and violently, which then perforated the happy campers with a shower of silica shrapnel, as flames furiously flicked fractured flakes of flint flying, exploding projectile rock fragments to the eyes. My God. That is a tale of unparalleled tragedy. Alternatively, option 2, these happy campers just had one ginormous fat-off napping session. Who knows? Such mystery. Oh my God. What do we have here then? A crab apple? No, don't be silly, Cletus. This is a walnut. An English walnut. Nuts that grow on trees. Oh yeah, prove it. Boom. Observe that signature wrinkly shell of an unripe walnut that is not yet ready for consumption. But if you are fortuitous enough, then you may find ripe walnuts scattered amongst the leaf litter. Like so. Ripe walnuts will lack the green husk, as part of the fruition process involves the natural degradation and shedding of the husk to leave behind the exposed brown shell. And inside said brown shell is an ambrosial walnut of the gods. But these are a fan favourite amongst the squirrels. They nab them up real quick, so hard life tough potatoes, you ain't getting shit out here. But let me tell you about these nuts though. A fun fact. If you pick and scrape the green husk off the walnut with your bare hands, then it will absolutely stain your fingers and hands browny orange. And it is a tremendously strong dye. It is an absolute nightmare to remove. It stains your hands for days. I mean literally for several days. It's terribly inconvenient. Even Ragged Robin Saponin soap will have trouble removing walnut dye. Walnut dye is indeed a thing. Historically, it was used to dye hair, stain wooden furniture, and colour clothing. So, you certainly do not want to get that on your hands. Trust me, Daddy, when I say, it will not come off easy. The day's end draws near. Darkness will soon envelop. And we haven't even found any fungi today. That's just unacceptable. So we must search for Mother Nature's most majestic mushrooms to show some love to all branches of biology. But we must be cautious of Spindleshank, ever so cautious. For you see, he lurks in the shadows. Let us perquire. Let us begin our diligent search. Aha, a fungus. A rather peculiar fungus. A fungus unlike any other that has ever been shown in an episode of CampAesthetics before. A fungus with an incredibly unique anatomy. So let's talk about this special snowflake. No, let's talk about this group of fungi in general. The Pisizaceae family of fungi. Let's slow that down. Pisizaceae family of fungi. Otherwise known as the cup fungi. For reasons that should be immediately perceivable. Cup fungi are so irregular in their anatomy and in their production and dispersion of spores. They do the complete opposite of what normal mushrooms do. For you see, typical mushrooms such as the agarics, the boletes and the polypores, their spores are produced on the exterior, which then drop off the mushroom and Gravity does the rest of the work, but with cup fungi, their spores are produced on the interior, within the confines of the interior wall of the cup. And these spores are kept in what you could call little pressurized tubes. And upon the maturity of the spores or an environmental trigger such as wind, humidity, rain or percussion, these pressurized tubes, like little delicate glass vials housing the spores, will break. And thus the pressure is released and the spores will be forcefully ejected out of the tube, out of the cup and into the air. Like a spore gun. Yo, that's some crazy shit. A spore cannon. And hey, if you get really close to a cup fungi like this and blow on it really hard with your breath, then it will break all of the pressurized tubes, which will then shoot all of the spores right into your face. How strange. That is most peculiar, and it makes you wonder, is this spore gun method the best method of spore dispersal as a means of ensuring the survival of the species? That's debatable, but nonetheless, many moons ago, a genetic mutation occurred that brought about this particular anatomy and spore gun methodology, and the fungi that were in possession of these genetic mutations were still able to successfully reproduce. So here they are still, to this day, perched upon the riverbanks, amongst the lesser salinae. A majestic bumblebee, traversing the labyrinth of forget-me-nots. That's most dignified, most regal. Are you unfamiliar with forget-me-nots? Allow me to introduce you. These sky blue, star-studded celestial clusters of inflorescence are known as forget-me-nots, and they're easily identifiable by their petite size and the little star pressed into the center of the flower. Oh, that's real nice. But can you eat them? Yes, indeed you can, but only the petals are edible. The rest of the plant is undesirable, but a pinch of petals to garnish your bowl of slop, that's style points right there. That's gourmet garnish. That's cheeky nibbles. But forget-me-nots is a curious name. Surely there's a grand tale to be told of this. And indeed there is. The origin of the name forget-me-nots. Legend has it that once upon a time in ye old England, a brave knight and a fair maiden escaped the confines of their castle village to go for a leisurely stroll through the enchanted forests of the borderlands. And as they strolled along the riverbanks, sharing tales of folly and jest, the fair maiden spotted, down by the water's edge, a beautiful cluster of sky blue, petite, star-studded flowers. She requested that the brave knight climb down the bank and pick her a posy of them, for they are most beautiful. And of course the brave knight agreed, for it is his solemn hope and wish to win the affection and approval of the fair maiden. So the brave knight tactically rappelled down the banks, kneeled down, and picked her a posy of these star-spangled flowers. But as he stood back up, his foot slipped on the wet banks, which sent the knight tumbling and plunging into the depths of the rushing river. And of course, the fair maiden initially found this quite comical. Oh, that silly knight, always goofing around. But no, this was truly perilous, for you see, the brave knight was drowning under the weight of his own armor. Oh, he thrashed and he splashed, but he could not keep afloat. He was being dragged to the depths to succumb to a watery death. The brave knight tried all that he could to swim to shore, but it was futile. He could not fight the current in his heavy suit of armor. My god, he is fucking brown bread, mate. Powerless, with a seemingly sealed fate. The brave knight could do nothing else but make peace with his god and come to terms with his rather unfortunate and untimely watery demise. And while the horrified fair maiden bystands on the shore, offering what little verbal encouragement she can, the brave knight sinks lower and lower under the swirling torrents and calamity of currents. But in the throes of his peril, he made one last gesture. He raised his hand above the water, still clenching onto that posy of flowers. He threw the bouquet of flowers towards his maiden on the shore, and with his last dying breath, he shouted, "Forget me not, my love!" He was then dragged under. The knight was dead. And that is the story of how these flowers came to be known as forget-me-nots. The end. And so ends the day. Good game. Right. Now, it's time for the shoutouts. For all of the Leos that represented in the comment section of CampAesthetics 14, today I bask you in glory, bestoweth upon you an honourable mention, which I shall provide in the form of a credit roll. Why? Because, well, I have over 180 shoutouts to give. And if each shoutout takes a minimum of 2.5 seconds to say, then it will take approximately 450 seconds to get through them all. Divide that by 60 and it will take 7.5 minutes to get through all of these shoutouts. Oh, do we have time to sit through 7.5 minutes of shoutouts? No, we do not. I'll see you around, bros. Peace!